Joint meeting of the Parks and Rec Commission and this Ojai City Council, Tuesday, May 17th, 2022. May we have the roll call, please, Gail?
Mayor Sticks.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Haney.
Here.
Councilmember Blatz is, okay. Councilmember Francina is trying to get into the Zoom meeting. Councilmember Wyrick.
Here.
Chair Taylor.
Here.
Vice Chair Entner.
Here.
Commissioner Firestone is here. Commissioner Walker is here on mute. Commissioner Wilson.
Here. Here.
And Commissioner Ruff.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. Exciting. Okay, may we have the Pledge of Allegiance, please, Bill? Thank you.
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And we will move right into public comment. We have two public comments, Bill Miley and Bob Dow, I think.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Bill Miley. Since there wasn't any agenda, I just thought maybe these issues might come up, so I'm going to comment on them. Number one, Soul Park. From looking at our council district, Soul Park seems to lie within District 4, making it a logical city-managed facility. I understand city and county talks have begun. Good. I can see expansion of the city recreation activities there. Two, one in particular is pickleball. It's easy to vision having multiple courts with a focus on creating a regional pickleball center. The main challenge with pickleball, as you may know, is the repeated pop, but that's not going to be a problem there. What do I hear? Because of the space. And I sent you an email with some Google Earth pictures, and I measured the distance from the house to the center where I think it ought to be. So, also I counted the parking spaces that existed from the Google camera, and there were at least 200 nearby. Wow, that's great. In fact, we could send some of our people when they're looking for parking out there, and they take a bus in. No, that's just okay. Annual passes for use of the park, I understand, exist now. Because city tax revenues will be used, city folks should get discounts on daily and annual passes. If the county contributes taxpayer-supported for unincorporated areas, they should also get discounted too. Last one. At the May 11th school board meeting, the Nordhoff swim pool was discussed. Location was the focus, and I sent you a picture of that too. The majority of speakers would support making this a community pool, city and unincorporated areas. Instead of just one lap, lane, and competitive pool used on occasion by the public, several of us, including me, expressed the need for a second pool, a recreation pool, so that the community can use it all the time and not just when the Nordhoff folks are regional, when they don't have regional meets or something like that. Because it's going to get hot. And so I would go for two pools. Jane Wild says, boy, I don't know we can afford that. Key to the success will be operating management and revenue generation. The second pool, a recreation pool, would allow the public to use it all the time. This would be, in my opinion, a major revenue generator. And let's see, that's it. Anyway, in case you discussed it, I wanted to get my opinion in. Thanks.
Thank you, Bill. Next we have Bob Dow. Oh, Daddy, I'm sorry. You got to dot your I's, Bob.
I'm glad someone doesn't know me in town.
Oh, I know you.
I'm going to fire this off as quickly as I can. I took a look at the last city council meeting. I watched it twice, and I was just stressed. I'm going to talk about the infrastructure and the program and the formats we have for asking for money. We ask for money, and you don't have any information to make a determination. It's just a giveaway of public funds. We have,
Can I ask you a question? Is this about Parks and Rec?
no,
I mean,
this is about the city process.
Well,
It's not about Park and Rec.
It's public comments.
okay. Okay, sorry.
Okay. Where was I in this? We have people that are asking for money where we don't have a proper process and program, and we haven't for years. We have people that apply who we don't really know where they are, what they've done, how they're doing it. We have people applying for money where they give money to other charities that they expect the taxpayers to give to them. Had we used this money a little differently and looked inward to the city first, when we didn't have anybody to write a grant for the prior year, we could have allocated some of that money for a grant writer. We might have got a $500,000 removal grant. We no longer have an e-waste program with any of our affiliate 501s, and we have a need. Why is the city not filling in their need first, putting grants out to the public to apply to our needs instead of to their needs? So when you look at the financial documents that Ron Wilson sent out, we have multi-million-dollar endeavors asking for money. We have an endeavor that has an $800,000 salary budget. We have another one that pays $14,000 in work comp because they have extensive expenses. We have a city that did the budget that said we collected $2 million less dollars. You have a $7 million unfunded work comp or pension liability in the future. It's going to take 70 years to retire. You got $40 million in deferred maintenance on the street out of our entire streets because only a third of our streets are good. And since petroleum and asphalt went up another 30%, you can just add another $10 million on there. And we're going to go ahead and give away $130,000. And I've heard this thing, it's for the kids. Give that money to the rec department because the kids need it more than anybody. That's a dozen summer jobs and 250 participants that we can fund with that kind of money. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Any public comments online? Dale Hansen?
Yes, Dale Hansen. I live in the city of Ojai. I agree with all that Bill Miley said, and I think I agree with everything that Bob said. But I just want to add one thing to the Soul Park issue, and I'm very much in favor of that. And I don't know that it was mentioned. I didn't hear it if it was. I just want to say that in addition to that, I really hope that we close down that thing out there because it's driving the neighbors nuts. You can't live with that going on all the time. And it's so close, right across the street from some and next door to others. And I just hope that that's part of your consideration when you move to Soul Park, that we close that down. You can use it for volleyball or anything else, but not pickleball, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dale. Any public comments on Zoom, Gail?
If there's anyone in the Zoom queue who would like to speak, please use the raise hand function now. And we have one person, Karen Quimby, and I will bring her in. Ms. Quimby, if you're muted, please. There you go. You should be able to go ahead and speak.
Thank you. This is Karen Quimby. I am a resident of the city of Ojai, and I'm representing the neighbors of the current pickleball courts. And as you all know, I've spoken multiple times that the daily popping sound of the pickleball noise is torturing the current neighbor. So we're very happy with the job that the Parks and Rec Ad Hoc Committee has done in investigating the different issues around pickleball in the city, and look forward to hearing their report tonight. And just want to urge the city council, to move with the utmost haste in resolving the the noise issues from the current pickleball courts, which means moving them out to Soul Park, which is a great location for everyone. And if you do decide to move forward with a sound engineer study, actually an official one, we want to request that a representative from our neighbors committee be involved in the selection and in the process of that sound report, because we want to make sure it's fair and transparent. And we also think that the pickleball people and the tennis people should be involved in that as well. So again, we thank the Parks and Rec Ad Hoc Committee for their work and look forward to the discussion tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen.
No more.
Okay, so we'll move on to discussion item number 1, the joint meeting with the City Council and the Parks and Recreation Commission. And I just want to say a big thank you to the Parks and Rec Commission and each member of you. So thank you so much for all your work and time, because I know it's very time consuming also, and insight. So much appreciated. And thank you all for being here online and in person. Thank you to the City Council also. And Louise, you're the bomb. So thank you so much for all your work and helping the kids and adults. So it's my pleasure to introduce Chair Taylor, Susie Taylor.
Thank you. The commission, as well as Louise, have put together a PowerPoint presentation to highlight the recreation updates and capital improvement projects. And we've left plenty of time to have a roundtable discussion with council and the commission on future park recreation possibilities and options. And Luis will.
Yep. Thank you. So thank you, everyone. A PowerPoint presentation has been put together for this evening, which includes recreation topics, program offerings, capital improvement projects, and other topics. As we present, commissioners, please feel free to add any comments as we go along. Here we have an agenda overview of what will be presented and hope to discuss with City Council. This presentation includes, but is not limited to, introductions of our new commissioners, recreation program offerings, recreating through COVID, capital improvement projects, and an update on the status of capital improvement projects, what has been completed and what will be done in the near future. So we'll begin with the introductions. We'd like to welcome and introduce our newest Parks and Recreation Commissioners, Karen Wilson, Nelson Walker, Youth Commissioner Ella Ruff, and alternate Youth Commissioner Emily Mitchie. Currently serving as chair is Susie Taylor, serving as vice chair Sage Ittner, and we'd also like to thank Commissioner Firestone for his service on the commission. Additionally, we'd like to thank current staff member Vicki Hollingsworth, the recreation coordinator, who has provided 30 years of service to the city. Yeah. Next, we talk about recreating through COVID. So during the 2020 and 2021 season, staff kept a close eye on local health orders, as well as COVID-19 trends to determine when it would be safe to make programming available once again. On March 13th, 2020, the last recreation program was offered due to the pandemic. On May 14th, 2020, recreation staff implemented virtual programming to keep community members engaged. And on June 21st, limited outdoor program was offered by the department to adhere to public health guidelines. On June 14th, the Recreation Department held a successful reopening, and by August 31st, participation numbers were making a strong comeback. Next, we take a quick look at participation comparisons, and this time period is June 1st through December 31st, and we look at years 2019, 2020, and 2021. Here we really see the pandemic affected programming, especially in the 2020 season. Staff worked hard to make programming available while keeping participants safe. As the pandemic began to subside, we see that participation numbers started to increase once again. During the 2021 season, during the time period noted above, the participation levels is up to 70% of what it was in 2019. Furthermore, year to date, we currently have 1,284 participants throughout all of our programs. Our next slide, we highlight the city centennial. So in recognition of the city's 100-year anniversary, a free community event was held at Zero Zodi Park on August 5th. Community members were able to enjoy live entertainment, a concert from the music festival, free shaved ice, games, food trucks, and more. The outdoor event was a great way for community members to enjoy the company of their fellow neighbors. Here we highlight Ojai Day 2021. The free community event was held on Saturday, October 16th in Libby Park with a mandala painted around the Libby Fountain area. The event hosted a variety of local-based vendors, local nonprofits, school groups, live entertainment, and various other activities. In celebration of the 100-year anniversary, the city hosted a special poster competition where the winner was recognized at the September 28th, 2021 City Council meeting and received a $250 prize. Next, we talk about our current offerings. Currently, we have 14 different programs for our youth to go ahead and choose from, as well as 14 different programs for our adults to go ahead and choose from. Staff is working hard on making more programs available for our community to enjoy. In this next few slides, we highlight some of our programs. One of our more popular programs is our gymnastics program. This program is offered year-round, offered indoors and outdoors, and currently we have 253 participants enrolled into the program.
And I think you just recently expanded the program, correct?
Yep, we recently expanded the program. And we have, anybody interested, we also offer camps this summer. Next, we highlight tennis. This program is also available for youth and adults. Currently, we have 83 participants enrolled, and on August 13th, Quick Start once again became available. Quick Start tennis is a simple but effective concept of the sport, which gets children interested and engaged with tennis at an early age. Lastly, we'd also like to welcome our new instructor, Teal Wellborn. In our next slide, we highlight our dog obedience class. Our dog obedience class is available for those 14 and older. We offer multiple classes at different levels, including beginners, trick classes, and currently we have 16 participants enrolled in this program.
What park is that at?
So this one is at Zero Zodi Park.
It is, okay.
Yep. So next, we highlight our adult and senior strength program. This offering is available twice a week, Monday and Wednesdays, and is available for those 18 and older. We also offer open weight room and have personal training available for those interested. Currently, we have 16 participants enrolled into this program. Following, we have our Kung Fu program. This also is available for adults, for youth and adults. It is offered indoor and outdoors, and we currently have 21 participants enrolled. Lastly, we highlight our soccer program. This offering is available for youth ages 3 to 11. Classes are designated to provide a better understanding of the game and overall tactics in a safe and fun environment. This program is a great alternative to participation in league play, and currently we have 29 participants enrolled. Next, we talk about our pickleball courts, excuse me. The courts are located at City Hall campus. Currently, there are courts available, which are available 7 days a week. At its March 3rd, 2022 meeting, the commission voted to establish an ad hoc committee to conduct in-depth research to formulate a thorough recommendation for council's consideration regarding the concerns and requests brought forward by the community. The committee reviewed previous reports, public comments, and actions related to pickleball, as well as explored actions taken by other public entities for models and best practices, and formulated a 10-question survey as part of their research. The committee determined that establishment of standards the committee determined that the establishment of standards for acceptable sound levels and advisement on potential sound mitigation strategies were essential for further exploration and possible options. The committee made this recommendation, and the committee approved it at its May meeting. Under the prior direction of City Council, the ad hoc committee is working to identify an acoustic engineer. The committee will provide updates to the commission, who will then formulate a recommendation to City Council for its consideration. Next, we highlight the capital improvement projects. Here we highlight projects that have been completed and that will be completed in the near future. As we see on the list, and I apologize, I realize it's a little bit smaller here to go ahead and see. So some of the projects recently completed was the new artificial turf at the Turf Hill at Libby Park, as well as the replacement of field poles for Field Light 1 at Zero Zodi Park. Upcoming projects include repairing portions of the gymnasium roof, removing the trash enclosure from the southwest corner of Zero Zodi Park, the multi-purpose sports courts project, and future projects include the Libby Park restroom renovation, replacing the timber for the Libby Park pergola, additional repairs to the gymnasium roof, and a new playground for Zero Zodi Park, as well as the ball fields being renovated there. So here we highlight the Zero Zodi Master Plan. The Master Plan is accumulation of many months of discussion of public meetings with park goers, community members, and the Parks and Recreation Commission, as well as staff. Over the next several years, the city will develop a phasing plan to prioritize each project. The first project completed in 2017 was the picnic area remodel, which is now being utilized by our community. The next capital improvement project is a multi-purpose sports court, which we'll cover in an upcoming slide. Following this is the ball field renovation, which is in the CIP for 2023, as is the new playground for Zero Zodi Park. Lastly, we conclude with a water element feature, which is yet to be determined as far as construction date. Next, we talk about the multi-purpose sports courts. This is one that we are very excited about and is slated to be built in the south east corner of Zero Zodi Park. This new amenity will provide users a combination of outdoor basketball as well as futsal. The project is in its final planning stages. Stantec, the engineering firm, is currently reviewing soil studies conducted for the project, and once complete, staff will work closely with Stantec to move the project onto its next phase. Staff will continue to go ahead and provide updates on the project on a periodic basis. And with that, we come to our last slide, which we cover, which we'll go ahead and discuss priorities and options, as well as commission recommendations. And with this, I'll go ahead and turn it back to the commission.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions? Comments? Yes, sir.
I may have missed it. How many participants are there for the pickleball program?
For the I don't have that number right offhand. No, not right offhand.
We did talk about it at our last meeting. We can certainly include those in our future discussions to make sure we have the membership participation.
Chair Taylor,
Yes.
I wanted to thank your ad hoc committee for the research on that motion that was made to go ahead with that acoustic contract that you guys discovered. That was just before the pandemic hit. So thank you for your institutional memory, and it resulted directly in the city manager moving ahead on that. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Did you have a question, ma'am?
Quick question, what is the water element that you mentioned in the park? The water element?
That's part of our master plan. I'm not sure if we have a specific, can you highlight that in that, Luis? Does it get better?
Excuse me, it's going to be this feature here. So that has not yet, it's part of the master plan, but it has not yet been designed. It's supposed to be a water feature where children can actually go ahead and play and interact.
I think sometimes people call them like a splash pad,
yeah.
might be a better, more common term.
Mhm.
Splash, like, I think they have similar ones down at sometimes you see them at the malls where the water shoots up, similar to that.
I don't think it's ever gotten to that level of detail. It was identified as definitely a priority for the park and for the city to have one, but nothing further has been done with that element because we haven't moved toward prioritizing or getting that going.
It's just on the wish list.
So on your CIP budget for next year, you have a playground renovation. Are we relocating in the master plan the location? Or what are we doing? Because I don't necessarily see it on your drawing.
Well, what you see there are two different playgrounds for different age groups with the shade structures over the top. It's the red with the yellow sails. Has anything been done for the actual plan for that, for what we're going to do? Nothing has been discussed at this point beyond that is on our list of projects and priorities and that for Sarasota Park. But in that plan there, you see it's for two different age levels.
Right.
And then there's actually a third under the trees that's for teenagers. But I think the ones that we're focusing on for the priorities are is it
The
up to
child-
5 and over 5? Are the
Correct.
two different types of.
So you're still in the process of
We haven't
selecting
started.
style.
No, I don't think we've actually started that process yet.
I think we identified some of it in the master plan, but we haven't had any detailed discussions on moving forward yet.
Yes.
Yeah, if I can add to that, I was going to ask for the CIP slide to be pulled up, but I know it's hard to see, so it might not be super helpful. But kind of to piggyback on what Bob Dahl said a couple of minutes ago, you could see kind of the trend, and this was the CIP tonight is like the preview for our full citywide CIP discussion next week, and so it's kind of exciting. This is like the sneak peek, and we're going to go through all the projects citywide next week. But as we started to put the CIP together, you start to see like the impact of the pandemic and like the 2 years of like not being able to afford to do things or not having the programming to do things. And so there were, Luis mentioned like the projects we got done the last couple of years, pretty minor in scale. We did like some of the things like the turf hill at Libby Park, we kind of focused on the minor projects, but there's some big projects coming and they're starting to like stack up. And so when the commission asks like for kind of priorities for the coming year, like one recommendation I would make to the council to make to the commission is there's some big design work coming up. We've been focused over the last 6 months on the multi-sport courts. That's come to the commission multiple times and it's come to the council multiple times because of all the, we had funding and then the costs went up and then we went and got more grants and then the costs went up more. So we finally went to council and said, let's just, can we just agree this is a priority and let's use some Measure C funding to do it? So that's where that's at. So we are finalizing the design on the multi-sport courts. But once that's done, and that's big, that's an outdoor basketball court at Sarasota Park. But once that's done, the next thing's gonna be the playgrounds. And so to Commissioner Entner and Chair Taylor's points, we haven't gotten to that yet, but that's gonna be a big one that I imagine there's gonna be a lot of public input and a lot of discussion on. So pretty exciting, because to me, looking at Sarasota Park and what it could be, like that's a key part of it. And so we're excited to finally get there, but it's like we're seeing, when you look at the CIP, we have that. We have the Libby Park bathroom remodels, which is another huge project that's kind of been on the wish list for years and years. The Libby Park sewer pump system, which is in progress, not as fun, but still a really important project. And yeah, I can't, my eyes are bad, I guess. But so there's a lot coming up this year. So I think for me, one thought I had for my staff or for our staff is like, we're going to have to focus on these projects and starting to get them moving and getting them done. So my suggestion is that we all focus on those in this coming year. So.
No, I'm good.
No,
Oh,
you get to call her.
Oh, yes, you have a question. Okay.
I was
Speak up.
I was just wondering what, in terms of water conservation, as we move forward, and the prediction is that we are going to have less and less water, and as we move towards aridification, and the need to conserve what we have, is that part of the plan? And also is going electric in terms of the renovation?
I think as
Getting
far as
off gas, yeah.
conservation of water, the commons are so important. I think as you look at conservation, you then focus back to trying to use your resources as wisely as possible, and the wisest way to use that for recreation is to take care of what we have for a community benefit. So I think we're always trying to be economical with water. I mean, it's come up at our meetings, not recently, but we've had many discussions about trying to be as efficient as possible. There may be room in there to do more. I don't know, that's very much at a, we need to, that's a more public works side of things. But I think we need to be sure to invest in what we have and keep it as nice as we can, because what we're hoping is that we can have people recreate on the commons and not have to have as much on their own space. So from that standpoint, I think it's an integral part of trying to save resources, is to make sure that we provide those recreational areas that kids need.
I also, Mayor, if you look at the master plan, there is a large reduction of turf on the backside of the recreation building in comparison to what is there. Obviously, there's nothing electrical that's happening in any of the facility improvements at this stage until we get to the building. I travel, I'm working in Camarillo, and I travel by a park on the corner of Las Posas and where Las Posas makes the right turn. And they've got, well, that's why I asked you.
Pleasant Valley? Pleasant?
Yeah, it's a Pleasant Valley district, but they've got a beautiful children's
Nice
play area.
playground, yeah.
That's got more new innovative toys and playthings, and there isn't a day I don't go by there that it's not packed. And they got swings where a baby is on one side of it and the mother's facing it. And it's so interactive. It's just,
Playground design is fun. Getting those catalogs and looking at all that stuff is, yeah.
Those swings are really cool.
So, that's why I thought you were doing it, and I was gonna say, have you looked at some of these other cities and what they're doing and all of the new available play equipment? So, and then I'd like to comment, during the last rain, which was who knows how many months ago, but someone actually went in and rototilled the sand in that play area, and there was fluff for the first time. My grandchildren are there 3 or 4 times a week,
At Sarasate?
right here.
Okay.
And whoever did that in maintenance, I just want to commend them, because I had never seen that done before.
At Libby.
And it was just incredible, and the kids didn't know what to do. There was rows of sand, from, I guess you rototilled it. They had so much fun. So, and usually it's not the best kept.
Yeah.
But it was well kept and has gotten better, so.
And to the electrification, the only thing I would point to is the skate park lights are LED lights. I
Okay.
think that the basketball multi-sport courts, as we look at that, LED.
Right.
I think the field is a really different, what we've been told and the research that's been done, that's been provided to us, is that field as it is now and the way that it looks, using it as multiples, there isn't an LED solution yet. Then that's the feedback we've gotten from staff, is that it's not there yet to light that big an area with LEDs because of the number of poles you'd have to place. And I don't have any great knowledge about lighting.
Right.
That's a whole nother area. But so we're not there yet to do that. So when it becomes available, I think it'd be a great project.
Yep. And then I have one more comment. I'm not sure how deep we're gonna get into pickleball. I hadn't planned on getting into it too deeply. But if Sarasota comes to fruition and we do happen to move there, I would sure like to see these courts used
You
for our
mean
youth
Sol-
program.
Sewell?
Park, right?
Yeah, so if we move there, I'm not saying we are or we will, but we've got some beautiful courts here. It'd sure be great to have a quick start pickleball program, getting the youth engaged in this sport early. And then 2, having pickleball classes here, actually program something here or there. We have the courts, let's use them, let's not discard them. They're beautiful. A lot of people come here to use them. So I just think instead of discarding them, that we actually take an opportunity and repurpose and utilize them if they're moved.
Could I add on to that comment, please? It's Karen.
Yes. Yes. I can't see you.
Thank you, Councilman Haney, for that suggestion. I've got 2 points I'd like to make. One, the city of Ventura and other recreation districts in Ventura County and around the country are doing exactly what the councilman just suggested in having classes and quick start and so forth. And, it becomes a revenue stream. And to that point, the question was asked about pickleball participation. Now, these are unofficial, these are not Parks and Recreation numbers, but based on contemporaneous recordings by people who have organized pickleball, the number of participants, people showing up to play on the pickleball courts right there at City Hall in 2021 exceeded 11,000. That is more, almost 3 times the total participation in all of the other Parks and Recreation programs. We need official numbers, but I want to point out that this is the most popular recreation activity in the city of Ojai. And I said 2 points, let me make the third point. The third point is Soul Park belongs to the county. I understand there's conversations, but I've worked on big projects like this. I've fundraised for big projects. I've written grants for big projects. If tomorrow there was an agreement between the city and the county allowing city programming in Soul Park, we are minimally 5 years and hundreds of thousands of dollars away from having pickleball courts and courts multiple. So I think we need to start putting some reality around some of these expectations. And I appreciate your interest in this. I appreciate that pickleball now is part of the Parks and Recreation presentation, because last survey we weren't, pickleball wasn't part of that. There's not a space on the Parks and Recreation website yet, but it's the major recreation activity in the city. Thank you.
I'll comment on that.
I've raised my hand a long time. Can anybody see me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know. I couldn't see you because I had the slide up. I'm sorry.
Gail, did you notice I came in about a half hour ago? I finally got in. I'm sorry. I started to get in at 5:45 and I figured out finally what was wrong, and I will watch the part I missed. Okay, I would like to make some comments. For the last 7 years, I've been going to both to Sarzodi and Libby Park on a regular basis with my little granddaughters. And I want to advocate that there has to be, I would hope that you would make some kind of water play a top priority in the summer months. And I want to find out how the misters and the fountain are the 2 most popular activities on a hot day in Libby Park. Okay, unofficially, the fountain. But the misters, I don't know if they don't seem to use very much water, and I think the water is recycled. And that would, at least, it doesn't have to be a fancy water play, but some way to cool the kids off, and preferably where the water is either recycled, I don't know if it's recycled, but that it also waters the grass, or, plus insects gather around it as well. The bees are thirsty on a hot day. The other thing is that probably just as popular as pickleball and its recreation is bicycle riding. It's becoming increasingly popular by, there's more and more people riding their bikes, both for transportation and recreation. And so I wanted to suggest to work with, for example, the Green Coalition or the Mob Shop, so that we have bicycle education at the recreation department, because I noticed that you have driver education. In my opinion, bicycle riders should be licensed so that it's taken seriously. Every bike should have a light. I cannot believe the number of children that are riding in the dark without lights. It's just appalling. It needs to be taken seriously. And I would love to work on that with you. I know there's at least one person in Ojai that was a professional bicycle instructor, not just like the rodeo, but where you really teach the kids how to, to obey the rules of the road, where, and at someday that will be part of the school curriculum. But until it is, I hope it could become part of the recreation department. It would be a perfect fit, a wonderful fit. And then the other thing is that under playgrounds, what Randy was saying, Mayor Pro Tem Haley was saying, there's so much innovation, and that includes playgrounds for seniors. It's just, it's amazing, so that seniors can, use the same, where you're stretching and moving and having fun. And they have that for seniors as well. So maybe that could be down the road. But I would say that of all the things I've said, the top priority is figuring out ways to keep the kids cool on a hot day, and the misters, water guns, whatever. I don't really like those because that adds to the trash. But please do investigate if the misters, like we have in Libby Park, are a possibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Haney?
I feel like I'm talking too much, but there's a lot to be said here. There's, Souza, I love that idea of bicycle safety. I preach it all the time. What I see, I don't see people riding safely. But I appreciate that, and I think obviously starting at a younger age is beneficial. I also wanted to touch on what Mr. Daddy had to say about youth or at-youth children or at-risk youth children in our community. Luis, do you know how many children you think, or how many young adults we're going to hire this year for the Parks program? Do you have any idea?
I hope minimum 12.
So when we look at funding and we look at community, Mr. Daddy hit it right on the head. Why aren't we figuring out how to fund our young adults and our young children in our community, and actually keeping that money and that resource of money and create some type of, there used to be a program called the CETA, the Comprehensive Employment Training Act. So why don't we create the Ojai Comprehensive Training Act, and why don't we think about funding maybe through the Recreation and Parks Department, a way for businesses to come in and request youth to come maybe work in their businesses, and we figure out how to subsidize that. I think that'd be beneficial. Like I look at myself, I could use a 16, 17, 18-year-old in my office part-time filing. And at minimum wage, $15.50, and thinking about how we could match it, or like grants 50-50. But there's a multitude of ways of doing this, and I think we need to think about that. How can we take this money and actually provide it as a resource to the young people in our community that actually need it, and actually provide them job training and interactive activities? I mean, look at how many senior centers have senior folks who don't have anyone coming to see them, or any activity with young people. I mean, there's just a multitude of things to do with our youth. And I don't have a problem waving that carrot of matching funds with them. So I think Mr. Daddy's onto something. And I think that we as a community need to look at that.
Love it. That's a great idea. And I would imagine that the school system, that there is a program already in existence. So let's loop in with them, and so we can coordinate and collaborate together.
We actually talked about it at our meeting last month about looking at some models, because I think, I can't remember exactly what the topic was, but it had to do with when I was in high school. I was in an intern program, and then later on in my career, I hosted some of her students as interns, and they came over during their school day and worked at the lake in the office doing clerical work, and several of them went on to become actual employees. So they came, I think, in their junior or senior year, and then it turned into a summer job, and then it turned into many, many years of service for one particular person. So it was a very productive program, and there is already a model for it with I think we said the city had a model for it, we just aren't using it, right?
Correct. The city does have an internship program for college-based students. We're going to go ahead and look into possibly modifying it for those in high school.
I think we asked for it to be on the agenda for next month, or,
We have a raised hand online.
oh, sorry.
If,
Yes,
if
Karen.
I could also offer, I support this idea so much, and I think the collaboration with the schools, with school district would be great. But the park, the city, the Parks and Rec deals with the youth for the city already, and so I think it's really it would be a real natural fit. And I can offer. I've worked on employment programs, work study programs, and so forth, getting grants and actually hiring students and so forth. So I'd be very happy to participate in investigating this idea more and see what we can do with it, because I do think this would be a real benefit to the city and to the young people in the city. And I know other, like other recreation departments also have programs similar to this that we could take a look at as well. So good idea.
Can I put Ella on the spot and ask for an opinion?
I want.
Are there kids that need service hours or a way to get more involved that could use that kind of additional support to do that?
Yeah, so first of all, I think a lot of students would be interested in something like this. I think for experience, I think a lot of kids are getting to the point, I'm going to my senior year, so we're all a little stressed about college apps and like moving out and all those things. And I think a lot of people are getting to the point where they feel a little bit not ready to get into the real world. So I think having an experience or an opportunity where they can kind of get some experience would be really good. Another thing that we can think about is reaching out to our clubs that are more service-oriented clubs. At like for Nordhoff, we have CSF, which is California Scholarship Federation, and we like require a certain amount of service hours to be in that club. So if we can reach out to those clubs, we can probably get some more participation, especially from those students. So,
Thank you, Ella. And I just want to say, I think from just taking away from the public comments, I think the point is that there's a program in place, the concern rather, that there's a program in place and it's not real clear on how the city is allocating funds. And maybe that is something that, since this is a type of program that is potentially recreation based through the youth at the rec center, if the council desires, we can have the commission look at that policy and how those funds are being asked for and help give some input on that. And if that money could be allocated towards recreation needs to support a program like that in-house versus being gifted to a nonprofit to go elsewhere to maybe even a smaller group, it would certainly, I know as chair, I would support the commission doing that work for the council.
Obviously, I'd be 100% behind that. And like I said, some form of matching fund, because we've all received comments after the last council meeting regarding monies to the public and what's the process? And to be honest with you, we don't have a process.
I think
What we have
was his point, right? We
Right.
don't really have a clear process. And there is some funds on the table, it sounds like, or some requests, or what is the
Well,
130,000?
to be
that he's
determined.
talking- Okay.
To be determined, right, Mayor?
And I think to add to the list of things that we
It's
could
very
do with-
motivating for the park staff. Go ahead.
Well, and I think I'd add to the list of things that we could do to serve the community is after-school programs, like almost a daycare type program. Those are things we should be looking into, because I think we could run them and they might be an available space for us to do that. But again, this comes back to what's available for funding, because it depends on how hardcore we are about cost recovery. I mean, and what we're trying to accomplish with our money and how much we're willing to subsidize programs so that we have a wraparound service for families and we're, giving them ways to safely provide these. And more times than I care to remember over time, there's been hardcore presses for cost recovery. So I think part of even just having more money is not having to recover as much cost and broadening your reach into the community and allowing more people to participate.
Absolutely.
So sometimes it's not always about having to create the new program or to, find a way to spend the money or make your space to spend the money. It's not having to be so pressured to recoup those costs and to be able to provide more time for staff to do even more free events and things that create community and bring people into our commons, which are our parks and these open spaces, to create those relationships, so.
I know this is a little off parks, but we keep asking for a joint session with the school board. And obviously, this would be one of the items to talk about, is how we can, our community and their community work together to create an environment that enhances our youth and our young people to participate and then to give back. And I think that's important because they buy in and then they become part of what we want them to be. And so we just got to figure out how to do it.
Maybe we can, perhaps we can use the rec commission with OUSD and council because it seems like there's some disconnect when we get the directions from council and we're not included in the preliminary discussions. It's hard for us to do our work. It would be really nice to be able to work directly with OUSD with the council's direction and input.
If they're willing, go with God. You got to get them to the table. That's all I can say.
I'm sure they are, so yeah, let's do that.
And Stool Park, I think, is absolutely something that, as a commission, we've discussed, we need to move forward on it. I mean, it's a little bit like the school district as to, we're here, we're ready to move, but we're not always the lead, and we're not sure what role we can play and what meetings we can have. And it sounds.
I think our ad hoc did some really great work on the issue with pickleball, and it isn't just pickleball.
It isn't just pickleball.
It is a bigger discussion. We actually had an ad hoc, you and I both sat on it, and it was under the prior leadership at the county. And just in my experience with the change in leadership, we just hadn't brought that back. It kind of died because of lack of movement, but it is probably something that the commission can look at, establishing an ad hoc. Yes?
Yeah, more on that. We have sent a term sheet to the supervisor's office on Sewell. And the term sheet is just trying to come to some common ground for a management agreement. That's the idea, because that's the simplest way to get some programming on a park which, by the county's own admission, it does zero programming on. So we have a park and rec department that basically serves a big half and half, basically, between city residents and the unincorporated area and the whole valley. You have acreage of county park for which no programming occurs. We have city, which has programming that really doesn't even fit what we've got. You know, we're kind of, we're at capacity.
We can't expand.
You know, and so the point being is that the issue with Sewell is just appropriate allocation of resources for the public good, and I think that Supervisor Levere understands that, and is going to has responded positively in terms of working with county parks to get at least some sort of beginning management agreement going, where we can just take available public resources that are frankly being significantly underutilized for the good, and that means working with the county. So that's the spirit under which we're doing that.
I think the thing from a process standpoint, though, from the commission is I've never seen the term sheet. I don't know anything about
The term sheet doesn't have anything to do with programming.
Well,
okay.
But at what point do we? I mean, I'm just confused about roles in all this.
If the county responds and say, okay, that's a framework, then that's exactly when. Is my understanding.
Yes.
And what would be nice, though, is to have information coming back to us that's in process for
That's
us.
not what we're doing here right now.
Well, I know, but if it's already happened and it's gone out and we had a question, I just think that the sharing
Well, it just happened.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Because we just haven't had.
Well,
I think they're a responsive agency, and that's what they kind of needed based on.
Yes.
Right. That's good.
however it's done,
Yes.
we believe it's in the best interest, and it will obviously have to come through the Parks Commission, because you guys are gonna be the ones programming it. One more little sidebar too is, what do they call them when you have, business days, where you have, I think the school has done it once or twice, where they bring the businesses of the community and they share that,
Like career days?
career days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't we have a career days at the parks? Why don't we get out and get engaged with this youth and with the young adults in this community and express to them all of the businesses and all of the things that are available to them? I watched an interesting article Sunday about all these kids going off to college and creating $200,000 worth of debt and then coming back to their communities and having to live home. And it's like, you could spend 4 years in your community with a good business, understanding how it works and how it functions, and that's darn near as good as a degree. We've got to recognize there's more ways to reach our youth than the old ways, and we gotta be a part of that.
Yeah, great. And let's just make sure not to put the horse before the cart before the horse, sorry. Meaning, we've got to really contact the schools. And so, James, can you help us put that together? Yeah.
I think we have our own opportunities too to pursue, like
Yeah.
with the program that the city has had and seeing if we can expand that to below college students. I think
that-
that's absolutely something we need to pursue, but I don't think we're waiting on it. I think there are things
We
that we
did
can
it,
work on.
actually. I think our other youth commissioner, for some reason, I remember being involved in a career day at Nordhoff, and I'm not sure if we hosted it or if we just participated, but we have had them, yeah.
I remember this. I remember when we were talking about the Sarasota master plan, and we kept going to Carolyn Strobel. And finally, she got tired of us asking. She said, you guys figure out how to do it. And we did. You don't need us to tell you what to do. What you need to do is go do it and figure out how it enhances and makes for a better community and a better parks.
I'm just going to write that down.
Go for it. Remember? I think she got tired of us. I can't tell you what to do. You do it.
Any other, I see a raised hand. Ella, is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just had one thing to add. We've had a few career days over this past year. We have actually a really amazing college and career teacher. Her name is Brianna Beebe, and she's been so amazing this year with college apps, with college, I don't know what you call them, like seminars, so we kind of understand how financial aid and stuff like that works. But I think if we can, I don't know, she's just a really good resource, and we've had kind of some college and career days. So if we can work off of that, I think it'd be really good because we do have a bit of a foundation for it.
Great, thank you.
And just one other resource, the leadership class at Nordhoff, Mary Taylor is the teacher, and that's a really wonderful group of kids and teacher, so I'm sure they'd be interested in helping.
And I believe the council has another meeting pending, so unless there's any other comments.
Yeah, and Chair, if I may, I'd just like to go ahead and share an invitation to everyone here and everybody watching. This Saturday, we're going to be hosting our Rec Open House event at Sarasota Park. Event's going to be from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're going to have a lot of family activities, program demonstrations. We're going to have game room open, gymnasium room open, fitness center open. So we welcome everybody to come on by for a good time. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And before we close out, I would like to thank you, Luis, for all of your hard work. You've done an excellent job. You hit the ground running. You've been open to questions and been really responsive and just wonderful. And I happened to be talking to someone today who's a basketball fan, and we didn't have in our presentation drop in his back.
Yep. Yep.
And that was a little hard to organize.
Yep.
And he just couldn't say enough good things and he wanted me to pass along compliments.
Thank you.
Because you've done an absolutely excellent job, and you've gotten it off the ground in times that were a little bit rough and tough to get things smoothly running, and they really appreciate it, because the basketball guys are so glad to be back in the gym and be back recreating. So thank you very much for all your hard work. You've risen to the occasion and the job beautifully, and we're very lucky to have you.
Thank you. That's
I'd like to comment on that too. I ran into one of the employees at the rec center. I run into all of them, but she made the same comment, Luis, that you have been the most open, the most receptive, and the most honest leader that she has dealt with in her 30-plus years. So that comes from experience, so.
That tells you
thank
who it
you.
is.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I didn't mention any
Vicki, for
names.
that comment.
He's not getting a raise tonight.
But thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. That's greatly appreciated. And I gotta say, I couldn't do it without the team behind me and the leadership. So I appreciate, all of your guidance as well. Thank you.
I see Commissioner Firestone's hand up.
Thanks. Yeah, I'll make this brief, but I just wanted to thank the council for the meeting today and encourage council members to come to our meetings and let us know what you would like us to work on. We're here to serve you. So it's great when we get direct feedback, like with pickleball, to, solve a problem or look into something. That's really helpful. We have our own ideas too, but it's also nice, like when we hear things today, if you have other ideas for things for us to look into, it's great to get that direction.
Okay, well, it looks like we are ready to go. Thank you so much to the commission and to the council and to staff. Much appreciated. Thank you for the collaboration and the great ideas. So, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.